Hi, this is a quick tutorial on the four-part method for genetics problems. Genetics problems can be a little complicated, sometimes kind of like a word problem in math, when there's lots of bits and pieces and you need to figure out what information you need and how to use that information. And one of the things that can be helpful is to use these four parts. As we go throughout the genetics unit, we will refer back to this four-part method several times. So one of the things that we have is we have a problem and we need to solve it. So this first problem says that Kim and Jong are expecting a baby. They both have brown eyes but are heterozygous for the trait. Brown is dominant and blue is recessive. What color eyes will their child have? Now I know there's words in this problem that you might not be familiar with, like heterozygous. We're going to learn those words, so don't stress out about it right now. Focus mostly on the method, the four parts. So the first part is something called label the alleles. Now the alleles, if we remember from earlier, are the options for a trait. In this case, the trait that we're talking about is eye color. So we need to choose a letter to represent these alleles. Now I like to choose letters like B and T, E. They all have a very distinctive upper and lower case. Ones like C, although it's easy to tell the difference between upper and lower case when they're together, are very hard to tell the difference when they're separated. So try to stick with letters that are very distinctive upper and lower cases. So for this case, I'm going to choose B. So we're going to say capital B and lowercase b. So capital B is going to equal brown. Now how do I know that? I know that because brown is dominant. Dominant is always capital letter. And then the lowercase letter is going to be blue. And that's, again, from the problem. So I know that big B is going to equal brown and little b is going to equal blue. That's the end of the first part. The second part is something that we call label the cross. Okay? The cross is the genotypes of the two parents that are going to be part of this genetics problem. Now that in this case, is Kim and Jong. Now Kim and Jong, it says, are both heterozygous. Now heterozygous means that you have one big letter and one little letter. So Kim is going to have a big letter and a little letter, and she's crossed, and we use the X to show a cross, with Jong, who has a big letter and a little letter as well. So that's it for that part two. We know now what the alleles are, we know what the letters mean, and we know who the parents are. The third thing to do is to do the cross. And so we've done this before in the last video. We make a big box and a little box. The letters go to the top and to the side. The ones from the top move their way down, and then the ones from the side move their way across. Again, capital letters always go before lowercase letters. Now the last thing that we need to do is to do step 4. And step 4 is the results. So what is the answer to this genetics problem? And again, the problem was, what color eyes will their children have, or their child have? And so we look at the genotypes inside of the box. And remember that this box represents 100% of the chance of that child. And so because it's broken into fours or into quarters, each box equals 25%. So this big B box, this first box, is 25%. So we have a 25% chance of being big B, which is going to equal brown. We have two of these big B, little b boxes. 25 plus 25 is going to be 50%. And that's also going to be brown, and that's because the dominant letter always wins. We'll talk about that more in just a little bit. And then we have one box that is 25% big B, little b, little b, and that box then shows that they have a 25% chance of having blue eyes. So the answer to this problem is simply this, that if Kim and Jong have a child together, their child has a 25% chance of being big B, brown, 50% chance of being big B, brown, and 25% chance of having little b, blue eyes. So again, 75% chance brown, 25% chance blue. And we can figure that all out by doing the four parts. Now again, the four parts are to label the alleles, figure out a letter, and tell me what those letters mean. The second part is then to label the cross. Who are the individuals that we're crossing together? Who's the mom? Who's the dad? Okay, what are their genotypes? The third part is to do the Punnett square, and the fourth part is then to label all results. And so hopefully as we go through these genetics problems, we can use this 4 parts and to help us hopefully not be as confused.